Hey there, everybody. Sorry it's been taking so long to get this next video up, but let's just keep going. John nodded, unsure if he could really pull this off. He held out a hand to Flower, who clutched it eagerly. "This portal will take us to the Iguana Boy," Saint said. "Okay, kiddos," John replied. "Let's go." The other side was pouring rain, but it was warm, like a hot shower. None of the drops felt wet either. It was one of the strangest feelings John had ever had, knowing you were being covered in raindrops, but without moisture. He looked at his hands, and they were bone dry. "Weird," he said aloud. "Yes," Saint returned, only he was looking out in front of him. One glance was all John needed to know why. Before the trio was a city of black glass. Long neon tubes lined the buildings in vibrant greens and pinks. It was unlike any city ever. One of endlessly tall buildings of the brightest colors, awe-inspiring, didn't do it justice. The people were in a similar garb as the buildings, their sleeves glowed bright blues and yellows. "Like a worldwide rave, huh?" Saint said. John thought that was exactly right, and it scared him to think what that might entail. "So what now?" John said, walking through the portal. He hadn't considered this. Now is all he could think about. "Well," Saint said, pointing at an enormous screen, "that might help." On the screen was Mohawk Boy, smiling down at them. "Lady and gentlemen, may I have your undivided attention?" he boomed. The trio looked at him, but the people in the street had frozen, all of them staring him down. "For starters, I think we got off on the wrong foot." He lifted his now healed arm. "After all, you blew away my fucking arm." "Far as first impressions go, well," he gave a shrug. "But I don't hold any grudges. Really, I don't. You see, I can be a pretty reasonable guy. Case in point, John." He leaned forward. "If you kill that scum-fucked exorcist you're with, I'll give you your grandson. No strings attached." "So?" John looked at Saint, who seemed undisturbed. John knew why, too. "You know," he began, "that's a real tempting offer. I mean, I've wanted to get rid of this asshole since I first met him. But the problem with this is, you're a goddamn liar. You have no intentions of letting him go, so you can take your offer and shove it." The boy gave an unamused smile. "That your final answer, Johnny?" "Maybe you got a listening problem, so here's a visual aid." He flipped him the bird, holding it high in the sky. The boy held the same plain expression. "Oh, Johnny boy, you disappoint me. And to think I had a plan for you and everything. Well," he shrugged, "I guess this'll have to do." With a wave of his hand, the crowds all began to converge on them. "Well, that went well," Saint said before tossing the coin into the bunch. He turned to John. "Ready to run?" he said. John took Flower's hand and nodded. The crowd was almost on them when Saint raised his hand. There was a sickening sloshing sound followed by cries of agony and thuds as bodies began to hit the pavement. There was a clean path through, one they used without hesitation. Hands groped at them. More than once, John had to knock them down. Saint, being the friendly guy he was, took wild swings at them all. Some weren't even in the way, but it made no difference to him. John couldn't help but notice him laughing at all the carnage. They broke through, finally, and went at a flat-out sprint down the rainy highway. The neon lights danced along the reflections. An open alleyway served as their refuge. They clung to the smooth walls as the soulless people passed. A few peered in, but didn't see them. "We've got to find some place to lay low," John said, looking out at the street. "Great plan. We're only in a plane of existence controlled by a punk kid with a god complex. He could already know where we are," Saint retorted. "No, we have to draw him out. Find out if Mark Anthony is here. Save him. If he's not, then we find out where this kid didn't execute this plan. We need to find out where. This kid didn't execute this plan. Seems like a pawn." John thought the same. The kid was smart, no doubt about it. But this had a grander scope, and more than that, what would he gain by having Mark here? A minute passed when no one else came by. They went out into the street. "First off, let's get to a vantage point," Saint said. "I've got a feeling wherever this asshole's held up will be painfully obvious. You know, creative types." John knew that that was directed at him, but didn't bother with it. Bigger things were at stake than their petty squabble. Fuck, Saint said abruptly, walking to one of the buildings. What? John began, but saw what he had meant. Not a single door. What kind of uninspired fuckface creates a city with no doors? He said. An oversight, maybe? John said, feeling the smooth glass. A massive one. But at least it's got moderately more simple, Saint said. How do you figure that? Find the building with a door, we find the iguana boy. John felt Flower tugging at his arm. When he turned to see what was the matter, his blood froze. Victoria? He breathed. That'll be all for right now. I'll upload the next video tomorrow. So to keep you guys going and stuff. And I hope you all have a good night. Bye now.